The sky above Earth had not known silence in centuries. Every orbit, every channel, every stretch of exosphere was cluttered with chatter, conflict, or surveillance.
But now it was still.
The silence wasn't peace. It was a breath being held. Commander Isla Ren stood on the outer platform of Citadel 9, her armored boots magnetically locked to the edge of humanity's final gamble. The railgun loomed behind her, 12 barrels aligned like the fingers of a god, humming with the energy of 1,000 stolen suns. Its construction had taken 12 years and 5 classified wars to protect. No treaties recognized it. No species outside Earth even suspected it. That was the point. Isla's breath fogged her helmet's inner glass as the sun crept over the curve of Earth. She barely blinked as a formation of fighter craft roared overhead, trailing contrails of atmospheric burn. A technician called her name twice before she finally turned. Lieutenant Durand, fresh-faced and far too eager for a battlefield this quiet, handed her a data slate. They've confirmed the target's position. Encrypted observation buoy. It's got range on half the Orion arm. Status, she asked, her voice low but resolute. Still broadcasting. Still watching. Isla nodded. Then we blind it. Inside the command bay, Citadel 9's core vibrated with rising energy. Operators moved with orchestrated calm, each motion a final note in a song humanity had rehearsed in secret. On screen, the Galactic Assembly's surveillance buoy rotated slowly in orbit above the 6th moon of Caelestis Prime. Harmless, in appearance. Just another eye in a galaxy full of them. But Earth had learned the hard way that eyes became weapons long before ships fired a shot. Isla walked to the center of the room, flanked by officers who remembered the massacres at Titan, who buried children after alien diplomatic cleansing, who no longer believed in negotiation. She pressed her palm to the authorization pad. Final confirmation, the AI announced. Commander Isla Ren, she replied. Humanity's warden. Initiating Operation Halberd. The room fell quiet as the railgun's charging sequence echoed like thunder rolling from beneath the ocean. Plasma conduits lit up crimson. Circuits screamed. Gravity twisted in its harness as energy coalesced into a magnetic singularity. She thought of her brother, devoured by a cleansing drone on Europa. She thought of the day her father's farm was glassed from orbit while the Galactic Assembly offered condolences and deniability. She thought of her mother, who never left Earth and always said humanity should never bark louder than it could bite.
Too late for that now.
Target locked, Doran said. Firing solution ready. 0 deviation. Do it, she said. Outside, silence became scream. The railgun erupted, a flash of white fire brighter than sunrise. The shot broke light-speed protocol. Broke causality itself, some said. Broke every unspoken law that had kept humanity in its place. One shot. One pulse of directed force traveling across systems, snuffing out the surveillance node like it had never existed. The room stayed silent. Isla didn't smile.
She didn't speak.
She just listened for retaliation. For rage. For the collective voice of an offended universe. But none came. The channel stayed quiet. No pings. No return signals. Just a void where once there had been constant observation. A technician's voice cracked. No response. Not from Caelestis. Not from assembly space. Nothing. Check the long-range bands, Isla ordered. Every one of them. Doran was already ahead of her, fingers flying across the console. Negative. No movement. Traffic lanes empty. Beacons offline. The silence deepened. Isla glanced out the viewport. The stars hadn't changed. The constellations still burned. But something felt different. As if the galaxy had turned its face away. Not in fear. In knowing. They saw it, she said quietly. They saw what we did. Another officer turned. Then why aren't they responding? She stared at the darkness beyond the viewport. Because they were never afraid of us. They were afraid of what we'd awaken. For the first time in her life, Isla felt the weight of true uncertainty. Not fear of death, not fear of war, but the raw edge of a step taken over a cliff, unsure if the ground would rise or vanish beneath them. The technician's console blinked once. A new signal. Not assembly. Not any known code. Just coordinates. And the silence. Still there. Watching. Waiting. The absence of retaliation became more terrifying than any counterstrike. Days passed since the Railgun's discharge, and yet the galaxy remained still. Not one ship crossed human space. No embassies sent demands. The galactic networks, once bloated with traffic, blinked into silence like candles snuffed out in a cathedral of stars. Commander Isla Ren paced the central deck of the Vigilant Ember, her flagship now stationed far beyond Earth's moon. Citadel 9 had gone into shadow mode, its massive cannon recharging, shielded, hidden. But the real question wasn't about concealment. It was about why no one had come looking. Lieutenant Doran stood at the rear console, scanning waveforms for the 100th time. Still nothing. Calestis Prime is ghosted. No civilian signals, no patrols. Even the outer colonies, Zeruin, Hecta, Pharos, all quiet. It's like they vanished. Isla's jaw tightened. Galactic empires don't vanish. They dig in, regroup, retaliate. Unless they're running from something, said a new voice. Dr. Calix Vaughn entered from the inner chamber, the ship's xenolinguist and historian. His eyes were bloodshot from sleepless research, hands still stained with ink and powdered circuits. I've been parsing old assembly records, those intercepted fragments we captured after the raid on Lavina Outpost. They were afraid of something. Something ancient. Something they locked away. Isla looked up sharply. The assembly? Afraid. Calix nodded. They didn't create the silence. They inherited it. And they feared it like a god fears death. They had protocols buried in encrypted language, entire civilizations they sacrificed to maintain that silence. The railgun, it broke the chain. Doran frowned. You mean we didn't just destroy a buoy? No, Calix said. We rang a bell, loud enough to reach whatever they buried. Isla turned to the display. She pulled up the coordinates embedded in the strange signal they'd received, numbers that had no origin, no sender, no metadata. A cold invitation, a test, or a trap. She ran simulations. The signal pointed to a system far beyond the spiral arms, outside known star charts, just darkness and a few irregular gravitational anomalies. How long to reach it? 5 jumps minimum, Doran said. We'll need to refuel after the 3rd. No mapped stations on the route. Prep the expedition. Small crew. Silent engines. No broadcasts. We go dark. Within hours, Vigilant Ember departed, leaving behind Earth's orbit, threading its way through collapsed war routes and unstable slipstreams. The crew kept quiet, each pulse of the engines a whisper in the void. Every sensor was tuned for movement, but there was nothing. Space had become a tomb. On the 4th day, they reached the dead zone. There were stars, but they gave no warmth. Nebulae that glowed without radiating. Time felt uncertain. Clocks drifted seconds apart. People forgot conversations they'd had minutes earlier. Some swore they'd seen themselves walking the halls before they arrived. Alia didn't sleep. She sat alone in the observatory, staring into the swirling distortion ahead. Calix joined her, voice soft. This region doesn't follow Euclidean geometry. Even gravity's inconsistent. There's something here, but not in the way we understand location. I've seen war, she said quietly, but this feels like standing at the edge of a mind. He glanced sideways. Or inside one. Doran's voice crackled over the intercom. Commander, we've found something. Derelict ship. Assembly dreadnought. They suited up and approached in the shuttle, docking at the exposed airlock. The dreadnought was massive, sleek, alien in its elegance, now cold and still. Its lights were dead. Its atmosphere, thin but intact. They entered cautiously. No bodies. No damage. No signs of struggle. Only silence. Alia moved through the corridors with weapons ready. Calix scanned hieroglyphs along the walls, emergency protocols, life support indicators. All had been shut down simultaneously. The bridge was intact. Its interface still glowed faintly with dying power.
Found a log, Calyx said.
Visual. No sound. They gathered around as the footage began. It showed the bridge crew of the dreadnought, calm at first, then alert. They turned, all at once, toward something off-screen, then froze. Not in panic. In reverence. Their expressions slackened, their limbs relaxed. Then, slowly, one by one, they shut off their own systems, navigation, power, life support. As though it had been asked of them. As though it made perfect sense. The recording ended. "That's not war," Doran whispered. "No," Isla said. "It's surrender." Back aboard Vigilant Ember, the ship's AI detected a shift in local gravitational flow. The stars outside bent slightly, just enough to be seen. Then a new signal arrived. Not in language, in thought. A sudden weight settled over their minds. Not painful, not invasive, but heavy, like memory thickened by age. It didn't speak. It pressed. Isla stood motionless. She saw her brother's face, her mother's voice, Titan's burning skies. Then the railgun firing again, but from above, from far away, as if some distant being echoed her actions in reflection. Not mockery, recognition. She gasped and broke from the trance. The signal faded. Doran fell to the floor, clutching his head. It knew me. It searched me. Calyx stumbled back. It's not an enemy. It's a mirror. It reflects our violence. It catalogs. Isla activated the neural firewall in her implants, locking down the ship's systems. "We leave.
Now."
But Calyx began. "We're not alone," she said. "But we're not prey, either. Not yet. It saw what we did, and it hasn't decided what to call us." The ship's engines hummed back to life. Stars twisted as they jumped away. The dead dreadnought grew small in the viewport, abandoned in that place where even light seemed to hold its breath. But the silence followed them. The return to human space brought no comfort. The stars were the same, but their light felt colder. Citadel 9 had remained untouched, silent under automated lockdown. Earth's governments were in disarray, whispering rumors of alien retreat, of divine intervention, of something unspoken holding the galaxy in stasis. Some hailed Isla Run as a savior. Others called her a fool. None dared repeat what she and her crew had seen. Inside the command deck of the Vigilant Ember, the aftereffects of their encounter still lingered. Crew members suffered fragmented dreams, voices half-remembered in languages no human ever spoke. Electrical systems randomly shut down, only to restart as if nothing happened. Even the AI had grown hesitant. Calyx Vaughn stood hunched over the neural telemetry logs, sleepless, obsessed. It wasn't just communication. That thing, it catalogued us. Not just individually, but as a species. Our violence, our pride, our defiance. It mirrored back what we are. Isla stared at the stars through the viewing dome. "You're saying it judged us?"
"No. Worse.
It understood us. And it hasn't decided what to do." A faint pulse echoed through the deck. A vibration too deep to be mechanical. Isla felt it in her bones. All eyes turned to the console as Doran appeared, face pale. Citadel 9 just received a second signal. Coordinates embedded again. Different location.
Closer this time.
Closer to Earth. Calyx's expression tightened. "It's not calling us this time. It's coming." Isla didn't hesitate. "Prepare the Citadel. We're firing the railgun again." The crew froze. The Calyx stepped forward. "Commander, listen to me. Last time, we fired into the dark and something woke up. If we fire again, we could be confirming ourselves as a threat. Or we could show we're not afraid to stand," she countered. "I'd rather burn defiant than bow in ignorance." "You're not just risking yourself this time. This thing, whatever it is, if it decides we're dangerous, there won't be a second chance." She turned slowly. "You think it's offering mercy? I think it's offering a choice." Isla descended to the Citadel alone. The platform was colder now. The railgun stood dormant, like a titan in sleep, waiting for its master's voice. She moved through biometric locks and memory-sealed gates, until she reached the firing core. The rails hummed faintly, craving the current they'd once carried. Above her, through the viewport, space spun again. A shape emerged, not a ship, not a weapon, something vast and uncontained by geometry. A wound in reality. A curvature of space itself. Like looking at the shadow of thought cast by a mind too old and too distant to comprehend. And yet it watched. The second signal struck her consciousness, without words. A pressure. A vision. She stood not in her body, but inside a memory. Not hers, but familiar. A field of glass towers under twin suns. A world that sang. Then fire. Machines falling from the sky. Not built by humans. Built by others. Others who fired first. Others who, like humanity, sought dominion. And silence followed them too. The entity, this presence, was not here to destroy. It was here to contain. It had watched species rise and fall, not punishing them, merely sealing them away before their reach outpaced their wisdom. A curator of extinction. When she returned to herself, her knees had buckled. Her hands trembled. Not from fear.
From awe.
Doran's voice rang through her earpiece. The railgun is charged. We need the command, Commander. Her eyes flicked to the rails. Their energy shimmered like a sun chained in steel. Calyx broke in on the calm. Isla, think. What if restraint is the only answer it understands? She didn't answer. She looked up at the sky. The entity loomed there, patient, waiting.
A choice.
She stepped forward, placed her palm on the trigger pad, then pulled her hand away. Deactivate, she ordered. Silence. Are you sure? Doran whispered. She nodded. We've already proven we can destroy. Now we show we can choose not to. The light in the railgun dimmed. Above, the entity shifted. The sky fractured. Once, twice. Then healed, as if a scar had been acknowledged and forgiven. And it left. No flare. No jump. Just absence. An unmaking of presence. Back aboard the vigilant Ember, Isla returned to her crew. Her steps were slower now, her voice quieter. Calyx met her at the threshold. You made the right call.
I didn't make it for them, she said.
I made it for us. The galaxy did not return to noise. Not immediately. But a ripple moved through space, an unseen tremor, subtle transmissions flickering back to life. Trade beacons lit.
Patrols reappeared.
The ancient empires didn't speak of what had vanished. They simply resumed, like dancers returning to choreography after a missed beat. But Earth was different now. It had been seen. Isla sat alone in the Citadel one final time, the stars watching. And from far, far away, the silence lingered. Not as a threat, but as memory.